What up, people? This is Lisa, Long Story Long. I'm one half of Long Story Long. I'm all halves of Lisa Says. Um, so, Jay and I did a podcast this Friday. I think it'll be up in the next day or so. And at the end of the podcast, we do this thing called Long Story Long, which is our moment to just kind of talk about whatever's on our chest at that moment. And I gotta be honest, and even in my little clips that I post, I kind of say the same thing. A lot of times, I don't want to take on heavy hitting topics. I just feel like we live in a time where everybody can sort of flap off at the mouth and put their opinions out into the world. And I think what happens is that issues get muddled and confused and sort of, dirtied up, if you will, by everybody else's opinions, which could be valid, which may not be well informed, which, may just be based on their own prejudices or, whatever. So oftentimes I always say, there's much smarter people, making these decisions or talking about these issues than me. And I honestly feel that way. And that's not to say that I don't have an opinion. And that's not to say that I would say anybody else shouldn't have an opinion or that their opinion isn't valid. It's just to say that I feel like there's much too much availability for people to just kind of spout out some nonsense and say, and here's the real issue. With that said, Jay's Long Story Long was about Bill Cosby's attorney. Her name is Monique Presley. And, my response to it was just nonsense. Again, I try not to take on heavy hitting topics. So a lot of times, especially on the show when I'm doing it, I'm ranting and raving and screaming and cussing and laughing and joking. And that's just my way of sort of keeping it light for me. Because like I said, oftentimes I feel like my opinion is my opinion, and it's no need for me to put it out into the world. But in this particular instance, the weekend has gone by, and the more I think about this topic, the more I feel like I need to say something serious about this, and here's my form to say it, so here it goes. So, Bill Cosby. 50 plus women have come forward. A couple of things I just want to touch on. First of all, I don't get the comments of people saying how this ruins Bill Cosby's legacy. Now, I'm a child of the 80s, and I get that the Cosby Show showed many people, including black people, certainly mainstream America, images of black families that maybe they had never seen before. If it wasn't the first, it was certainly amongst the first time America had seen a black family that the mother and the father were married, both educated, both working, both professionals, children being raised, nice home, educating their children. But here's what I don't understand about the thought process behind that. The Cosby Show was not real. Hillman is not a place. The only thing real about the Cosby Show was that it was in New York. That's it. There was no real, these were not real people. So when we talk about Bill Cosby's legacy, is there a legacy in a fictional family? No. Now, if every single person that was on the Cosby Show, would turned out to be a complete derelict, it doesn't change the fact that the Cosby Show showed us images that we had never seen before. So it doesn't matter that Bill Cosby did this thing or did not do this thing. If everybody did things or didn't do things, it doesn't take away from the Cosby Show showed us images that we had never seen before. And as a result of that, people's ideals changed about what a black family was. But that was not a real family. It wasn't a docudrama. It wasn't a reality show. It was a fictional scripted show that somebody wrote, which in that regard is no different than Walking Dead or some show or movie about zombies, which are not real. It's something that exists in somebody's head and they choose to write a script, cast it, make it, and people like it. Again, I understand the importance of it showing us these images, but this was not a real family. Who is real? Is Bill Cosby. He is a real person. And what is real? 50 plus women have come forward and said, this man has done something inappropriate to me. Now, there's two other issues that I want to address before I get to the attorney. The second thing is that would not sit here and say that I believe that, because when we look at this Bill Cosby situation, you have to bear in mind that this group of women is recent. There have been other women prior to this last year that came forward and said Bill Cosby did this thing to me. So this isn't a new accusation. This isn't new information like, oh Lord, who knew Bill Cosby was raping and pillaging? Plenty of people did, and for the last 10, 15 years, as people have come forward and said, what's going on with Bill? So, I think why there's so many women now is two reasons. One, I think it's a much bigger story now than what it was back then. And I think that more significantly is strength in numbers. And I think that you have to bear in mind that many of these women are not necessarily women of any notoriety publicly. These are women who are, average girls living their lives, raising their family, married to their husbands, working their jobs, raising their kids and grandkids and, hanging out. These aren't women. Many of them aren't women who have any sort of sense of notoriety. So when you put that in perspective, you say, why would I want to be thrusted into the limelight by myself? However, when you see that 10 other average women like yourself who are just here living their lives are being thrusted into the limelight, you might want to join them because this thing was done to you as well. To contrast, for a woman who does, some of the women who do have a bit of notoriety, their thing may be, I don't want to tarnish my own image, because rape does still very much carry a certain stigma for the woman. There's always that person, that side eye, and certainly when you're accusing somebody who was a person of power or a person of notoriety or a person with a lot of money or a person of a certain celebrity, there's always that side eye that the woman kind of, you wanted it, and because he didn't give you that big role, because, he didn't give you any money, now you're doing this as a payback. So I think that, you got to kind of bear that in mind when you think about, well, why is there so many women coming forward now? With that being said, again, I would not want to go on record or even think in my own mind that it's possible or that it isn't possible that 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe even 10 of those women are perhaps either embellishing or flat out lying. What I do want to say is that 50 plus women have come forward. And it is a truth to that he has done this to some women and probably others who have not come forward. And it was probably known in his circle, amongst his groupies and hanger-on, his workers and people that he worked with, his friends, his family, and possibly even his wife, that this is how he got down, because you don't get down like this without people knowing. Certainly when you're a celebrity and you got people working for you, you don't get down like this. You don't drug and rape broads and toss them out into the street without people knowing. When Bill come to this hotel in AC, this is what he do. When Bill's in Cleveland, this is how he get down. So I'm just saying, this ain't new information to a whole lot of folks. It might be new to us. This ain't new to a lot of people. Okay, so for the Bill Cosby piece, I absolutely think he's guilty. And I don't know if throwing his old ass in jail is necessarily the right thing to do, or what the right thing to do is, or to what level did he do these things. But I know that there's truth in this, because 50 plus women don't come forward and say the same thing and tell the same story. And various women from various walks of life and various points in time don't do this just because we feel like messing with Bill Cosby's legacy. Now, with that being said, to this attorney, and it's not even as deep as the Bill Cosby piece, because I think the Bill Cosby thing is multifaceted. For this woman, Monique Presley, let me say this. I think it's wonderful that this woman is educated. I think it's wonderful that she's good at her job. I think that she is amongst plenty of women of black, white, blue, yellow, orange, green, and various other colors who are educated, who are good at what they do, who are at the top of their fields or the top of their departments or the top of their professions. And that does not make her some sort of oddity at all. She is one of many women who are good at what they do. So I don't think she deserves a gold star for being good at her job. What I do think is that there's a level of despicableness, for lack of any other word, and I've dug around in myself to see what is a really elite word that I can use. The only thing I come back to is despicable. That you would defend a man who has been accused of inappropriately sexually assaulting, touching, fondling, and flat out raping 50 plus women as a woman. Bump color, because I think color is irrelevant in this situation. We want to bring color into it. But these things that were being done, and to the women they were being done to, and for the perspective of this attorney, got nothing to do with being colored. That's what the issue is. The people want to drag color into it. This is not a color issue. This is a human issue. And this woman defending this man and creating, reasonable doubt to get him out of this situation is despicable. And I understand that she will be rich forever now. And a certain level of fame forever now. Like on that OJ Dream Team group of lawyers. I understand that. This is a huge case. But honey, you got to stand for something, sister. Something. And rather you believe that this man did it or not, and rather you feel that he's part of some kind of legacy or not, how can you defend any man for any amount of money that is accused of raping and fondling and touching and drugging and being, and that doesn't count for the people who said he raped and touched me, but he tried to. 50 plus women. It's horrible. And so, again, honey, kudos for having an education, a degree, multiple degree. You went to Howard, my baby go to Howard. Kudos to that. But honey, despicable and shame on you for defending this man. It's awful. See, the smile just came back on my face. I just had to get that off my shoulders, people. I just had to really say that and be clear on how I feel about it. Now I'm done with it. I'm done. Bill Cosby ain't touched me. I'd knock his old ass out if he tried. Did I just say that? Yes, I did. Anyway. See, the silliness comes right back. It comes right back. I'm good now. I had to get that off my shoulder. I'm like sweating. Whew. I had to get it off my spirit. Y'all know how I am about my spirit. My spirit get messed up. I got to get it off of my spirit because I got to move forward. Anywho, party people. If y'all want to hear that podcast or all the others that Jay and I have done, we just be... Jay is much more serious and, mature than I. I am just laughing and having a good time. Catch us on our site, longstoryLongtheblog.com. Leasa's Place launching today. It's my new spot. Just talking my stuff and being silly, what I do. You want to catch me on that? It's lisasays.blogspot.com. Both of those links are below. Hit us up. Listen to our show. Like us. Follow us. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are everywhere. So you can catch us everywhere. Leave feedback and we will catch you soon. We back in the lab next week, people. So have a great week and we'll talk to you soon.